Check this out. From the Washington Examiner, Black Lives Matter releases new list of demands, including permanently banning Trump from all digital media platforms. Why does Black Lives Matter care about one guy? I thought Black Lives Matter was about empowering, the black community and stopping the, police brutality. But I guess they're really concerned with making sure the Democrats win. That's one of their new demands. So this is it. This is the proof that their goal is to rewrite history and control from this point on history. If nothing changes in 50 years, Trump may as well not existed.
I once had a very long phone conversation with a Facebook press representative who was supposed to just give me like a canned comment for my article, but instead he went on for 30 minutes trying to persuade me that Black Lives Matter is not a political movement. And when I say that Facebook is political because it supports BLM, I'm wrong, because Black Lives Matter is non-partisan and non-political, and everyone should believe in Black lives. But yes, this non-partisan, non-political organization wants to ban wants a president to be banned from office.
What do you think the history books will say about Donald Trump in 50 years at this pace? They're going to say he was a white supremacist. They say he was a violent white supremacist. He incited insurrection and tried to destroy the country, and he was dutifully defeated by a powerful and well-informed electorate who challenged the fake news ecosystem that he had created. That'll be history. The pictures of him will make him look grotesque. He'll have a bright orange face with tiny hands, and that's all people will know about him.
I disagree with that. I think what they'll say is that this current Republican candidate is way too extreme. Even Donald Trump was more moderate than that. This is how it always goes. The last Republican president was a moderate, and the current Republican president or candidate is way too far, way beyond there. So George Bush is now a hero,
right.
Whereas at the time he was literally Hitler.
Yeah, but you look at George Bush now, and George Bush is parroting the establishment and the woke left. So
right, which loves him now. But back then they were like that this guy, he's racist, he hates he doesn't care about black people, he's a warmonger, he's Hitler, blah, blah, blah. But they called John McCain a racist, and they called Romney a sexist, and now these are all heroes of the establishment.
So Trump was a moderate, though, compared to them, and they called him far right.
Indeed, yeah.
So they can't have, it's hilarious watching, looking at CNN and the Twitter accounts of some of their personalities, when they're just trapped in this time vortex where January 20th has never come, and they're stuck there with Trump all around them. And the things they say about him, I'm like, Wikipedia and universities and academia is totally corrupted and tainted with bunk, insane information. They push lies every day. You go on Reddit, you see what people think. They think wrong things because the media is no longer about mainstream corporate press. Is for a long time has not been around to inform people. It exists now to misinform people on purpose. Someone got smart, and they were like, man, these journalists, maybe it was the mob, maybe it was these corrupt politicians back in the day. They were like, this journalist is going to expose my affair. I can't have that. I know. Let's buy the newspapers.
Well, Goebbels, Hitler's minister of propaganda, was legit spearheaded that charge when they had basically had the first time in history they had TV and they could use media like that. So they decided if you tell a lie enough, eventually people will start to believe it.
That's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if people in the future are told that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
And that it was Trump's white supremacist followers who are spreading lies.
I wouldn't even be surprised if there are people today that think there were. Like you would think that would be the most red flag, we made a mistake thing to teach kids. But they don't want that. And I say they, and I hate using they as a bland thing, but this military complex, whatever you want to call it, military, capitalist, coercive, whatever. They really want to sell bullets. They need to. And they're afraid that if we don't police the world, someone else will.
I think it's way, way more than that. I think that's overly simplistic.
Yeah, I'm being kind because we're on TV.
On the internet.
Yeah, on the internet.
I don't think it's about necessarily selling bullets. It's about maintaining dominance. And it's not so much they're scared someone else will police the world. It's that they want to maintain dominance. Everybody wants more. I think it's fair to say there's concerns about China's expansion in Russia. But if they really cared about that, I'd imagine they'd be taking China more seriously, not being deferential to China. I think the reality is many politicians are like, look, I don't care who's in charge, so long as you keep giving me money and I get to be super rich. So when China starts doing its thing, they go, oh, what's the easiest way to make money on this one? Just side with China.
Yeah. The way to understand American foreign policy, I think, is that for a long time it hasn't been in the interests of the American people or even in the American national interest in terms of maintaining dominance. It's just been, which foreign lobbyists are throwing around money, which think tanks are throwing around money. That the whole Russia panic was driven by these very powerful, influential cross-Atlantic think tanks like the Atlantic Council, and the German Marshall Fund, who their entire job is predicated on a U.S. focus on Russia. So at the slightest hint that there might be a pivot from Russia to China, these guys freaked out, which is why they became some of the most anti-Trump people out there.
Yep. Yeah, so history is written by the victors.
Yeah.
And
But then again, there are also, people who have an interest in a China focus. So it's just all these groups competing.
Man, I'm a bit, I don't know what the right word is. Pessimistic, to say the very least. There's some positive things. We've seen the Olympics just banned Black Lives Matter protests, kneeling, pumping your fist or whatever. I think we've seen some Hollywood stuff that's been anti-woke, and it may be because now that Trump's out of office, they're like, okay, we better pull this back before we lose control. But regardless, the establishment is in control.
I've heard a cynical interpretation of the Olympic thing. If the Olympic Committee allowed political expression by American athletes, that have to allow political expression from Chinese athletes,
right,
and North Korean athletes. Actually, is North Korea banned from the Olympics? I don't know. But all these authoritarian regimes would send their athletes and say, "Hey, show the hammer and sickle. Hold a sign saying the Hong Kong protesters are terrorists, etc., etc."
Yep.
So they'd have to cave to all these other countries as well. That's probably why they did it.
It's true, and I'd love to see more protest against China, but they're still allowed to protest, just not during the games. So I'm like, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe everybody needs to chill out a little bit. This is like, the violence, the escalation. The problem is it's one-sided. It's the people protesting China aren't going around blowing things up. I mean, in Hong Kong there was rioting, but you look at in the U.S. it's Antifa, and they're gaining ground and they're winning. They're winning the legal battle. They're winning the media battle, and the federal law enforcement is acting like they don't exist and giving them space to just destroy everything.
To inject some optimism, the state laws against critical race theory. That's a positive development. Lots of red states doing this.
But when you were talking about the Florida's law on social media censorship not being enough, it's the same thing that's true for these bans on critical race theory. It's not just critical race theory. It's wokeness encompasses critical theory in general, which is every aspect of identity. So now you've got a whole bunch of people saying critical race theory, and they're totally ignoring critical gender theory. And, there's a whole slew of identity-based, theories that exist beyond race. So it's like better than nothing, but still, how are we supposed to catch up if we're going slower than they are? They're not just passing laws. They're burning down buildings, cutting off pigs' heads and putting it on the porches of the former home of one of the witnesses in the Chauvin trial. They're lying to get on the trials in the first place. And the good principled, moderates and disaffected liberals and conservatives are like, well, we're not going to do any of that, and we shouldn't. And if you even think about doing it, the FBI will go, oh, and they'll send 12 agents down because they found a garage pull rope in your house.
Yeah, the FBI is just like the enforcement arm of the Democrat-controlled oligarchy at this point. I mean,
it was during Trump as well.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So forgive me for being a little bit pessimistic, huh?
You know what? Well, politically, I think it's busted AF, but I think the real solution is technology. Like if we can have water, decentralized water supply for every human, and we're able to travel and live spread out, I think a lot of these problems will dissipate. So although it is important to focus on this political stuff, China, America, Black Lives Matter, violence in the streets, but it's not the solution. I don't think it's the solution. No amount of arguing and yelling and signing paperwork is going to solve it. We need technology that can allow us to become independent.
Yeah, the technology is currently owned and controlled by the cult, so
proprietary technology is concerning. IP wasn't even invented until I think Queen Elizabeth created copyright in order to protect the Bibles that she wanted to sell so that she could maintain profit on all the Bibles. Before that didn't exist. You could just kind of trade information freely.
No, I think IP should exist.
Well, maybe it should be reformed, especially with software code, I think.
Somebody who works, 100 hours to make a feature-length film should be compensated for producing that work. And people saying, it's just information, I can share it all I want. It's like, okay, Someone worked really hard to make something they want to sell. That's why crypto works. That's why crypto is so powerful, because you can't duplicate it. It's a non-duplicatable asset you can have digitally.
I like the idea, like if you made a movie and wanted to sell it for $9.99 for someone to watch it, and then I got a hold of it and wanted to sell it for $1 for people to watch it, that 90% of those profits would go to you automatically. So if you could somehow code into the software that no matter where it goes and who profits off of it, it always goes back to the creator, at least a large percentage. I'm getting off topic a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is...
Yeah, I guess the main topic is...
I'm interested in this, actually. I mean, I think you were saying earlier about how all these Hollywood studios just regurgitate stuff, and do the same formulas again and again, the same remakes again and again. If they didn't have full control over the IPs, and as you say, if people were allowed to reproduce and create new stuff off of that IP, and all the profits, or a significant amount of the profits, go back to the creator, then I think you'd see a lot more creativity.
Yeah, definitely.
Creative Commons, things like that.
I don't know, though. It's decentralized from the internet. There used to be a small amount of really big bands and movie producers and movie stars who made a lot of money. And now, because movie theaters are going away and because Spotify exists and everything's decentralizing, this is actually what I think is contributing to the destruction of our culture and society, that people can choose whatever they want. So it used to be that everybody's like, what do you watch? Well, you can watch the news or you can watch the Oscars. So everybody would watch the Oscars, whether they liked it or not. It was what was on. Now the Oscars comes on. It's like, what did we watch during the Oscars? I don't remember. We watched something. Oh, Mortal Kombat. I was watching Mortal Kombat instead because it came out. The movie. It's the Citizen Kane of our generation. Excellent film. Yes, just totally amazing. And I didn't watch the Oscars.
It's so extreme too. How many videos are on YouTube? Guess.
The billions.
You have billions of choices of things to watch during the Oscars. You used to have like 70, maybe, if you had cable.
No, you had like 5.
Before that, you had 5.
Yeah.
ABC, NBC, CBS. Now you have billions of things to watch. Static things that always are there to watch. There's no schedule. You have to wait till 8 o'clock. I mean, it's a different reality.
This is why elites are so scared of the internet, though, because it's taken away that shared reality. And, there are downsides to taking away a shared reality, but it took away a shared reality that they controlled. And that's what they're afraid of.
Right. Now, people find whatever community they want for whatever they want to believe, and then you end up with people believing insane things. So it's funny. I love how, CNN is obsessed with, like, QAnon and Trumpism. And I'm just like, the level of the level of cultism within, like, the fringe QAnon people is identical to the zealotry of the woke left. But the woke left is institutionally accepted, spouting ridiculous, insane, fake news nonsense every single day. I think one of the most dangerous people on TV, left is like Tucker Carlson is dangerous. I actually think one of the most dangerous would probably be like Chris Cuomo and Tapper. And then to a lesser degree, people like Brian Stelter. Their jobs are to misinform you, to make sure you don't understand the world. It's like they're purposefully trying to make you see things incorrectly so that you can't do anything about it. Case in point, I think was it Tapper? When he was like, was he the one who said you couldn't look at the WikiLeaks documents? Or was that Cuomo?
It was one of them.
Yeah.
Definitely one of them.
They were like, don't forget these WikiLeaks emails. You can't look at them. It's illegal, but we're allowed to do it. And then they can all right, what? They want to make sure you don't know things. Brian Stelter on History goes, don't watch The Spin. Make sure you come to us. We're the only ones who can bring you the truth. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah,
Evil.
I mean, you look at the shared reality created by, institutional corporate media. They believe insane things about, white supremacy and feminism and the patriarchy, and they believe this for decades and decades. And I think the QAnon thing, they're just insane that they now have to compete with other insane realities.
I mean, the QAnon thing is not relevant in my opinion. Sure, there's a lot of people on the internet who believe things that are not true. I know people who believe the earth is flat because they went on the internet and read some weird website. Then I open Vox and they're repeating fringe conspiracy theories. They did it for years. Bill Maher, I love how it's one of the sweetest things, like one of the funniest things to see Bill Maher get corrupted, because he's this proud, like, rational guy who's like, oh, religion is crazy and I think, and oh, these Republicans are so dumb. And now it's like he's coming out and admitting, yeah, Russiagate wasn't real. It's like, but dude, for years you were prattling on about it. Did you not take 2 seconds out of your day, you spineless coward, to actually read the news? No, because people at this age and this point in their careers, they sit back with their eyes half closed. Bill Maher probably sparked up a doobie and then said, just do the work for me. I'm done. And so then some dumb intern turns on CNN and just writes down what he hears. Says, here, Bill, here's your criticism. And then Bill comes out a week after Covington, when everything was debunked, and says all of the BS lines. And I'm like, bro, do you have Google? Well, you know what? I can't blame him because Google's banning certain news outlets.
Exactly. They're pointing him to confirmation bias. A lot of times people are getting pointed towards articles that confirm what they want to believe.
And now he's supposed to be the sane liberal guy. I appreciate the fact that he pushes back on the wokeness, but his talking points are just regurgitated fake news, and the dude doesn't have the wherewithal to actually know what he's talking about. More so than many others, to be fair.
They want us to, believe that the scariest, most dangerous conspiracy theories are the ones on, anonymous message boards. But the conspiracy theories we should be worried about are the ones that exist in universities and in the CNN newsroom, because they're the ones that have influence. Yeah,
like the Project Veritas exposing the technical director who's like, we got Trump out, it's what we do, and we're going to be fear-mongering, going COVID death, oh man, gangbusters for ratings. These people are sick. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.